Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 7th of July in 2022. And this is an unconfirmed quote from Ted Turner, and it says, "It does not matter if it was an act of man or an act of God. We need to build them back better and make them say 5 million next time." I can't find this quote, but I don't doubt it to be true. But here's the other thing. A lot of people are making a lot of really wacky jumps. Lightning, explosives, blah, blah, blah. They removed the Georgia Guidestones because the Georgia Guidestones sat there for 40 years telling you that Agenda 21 was coming. Agenda 21 is now in full effect. If you've ever done anything in construction, if you've ever done anything as a police officer, this is a crime scene. And yet, the same day, these things were totally demolished with a backhoe. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't necessarily know who put them here. It's a crime scene, according to the authorities in the mainstream media. Somebody, a right-wing conspiracy theorist, bombed this, and yet they're tearing down the crime scene. This is all complete and utter nonsensical bull stuffing. Seriously. This is what they present us right here. At 3:33 a.m. in the morning, the security camera captures the explosion. Now, people think that this is lightning. That doesn't even make any sense to me, to be perfectly honest. Lightning? And that's crazy. So they catch the explosion, but they don't catch the perpetrators whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the footage? How come this footage is broken? We see live flowing footage of the explosion. No problem. Look at that. No problem at all. But we never see the people walking up to it. I've been here. Sadly, my YouTube channel got taken down again, and I guess I did not save that. And if I did save the Georgia Guidestones video, I saved it on a hard drive that I don't have with me right now. 11 alive. Indeed. Look at that explosion from all angles. Got the explosion from all angles. And yet, the same day, the crime scene of a bombing of American Stonehenge is completely demolished by a backhoe. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. The day right after CERN allegedly is going to use 100%, same amount of power that America uses in an entire year. Well, let me remind you of a few things that most people aren't talking about at all. If you recall, when I made that video several years ago, I made the video of the Georgia Guidestones days after the Boston Marathon bombing occurred. Now, the reason I can say that is I was being interviewed by a YouTuber called Chrissy Sumer, who I haven't heard from in years, directly after the Boston Marathon bombing, because I rolled out of Boston the day the bombing occurred. By the time I got to the last toll on the Massachusetts Turnpike headed south, the toll taker said, "Did you hear what happened in Boston?" I said, "What happened?" He said, "A bomb." I said, "Was it a nuke?" He said, "No." And I kept on going. And then I went to the Georgia Guidestones and discovered that right there on the ground there's a placard that says the Georgia Guidestone Time Capsule in Elberton County, Georgia. And these are the coordinates for that time capsule. The Guidestones are located on Guidestones Road. No one knows who put them there, but they named the road after them. Just east of Hartwell County, Georgia, 7-7 in North Elbert County, Georgia. The Guidestones are 5 large granite slabs set upright with a capstone and inscribed with text in several different languages. There is another slab of stone to the west of the Guidestone set in the ground containing the time capsule. The date to be opened does not appear on the marker. The marker was placed on March 22nd, 1980. 3/22/1980.
The secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
on.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee, and but look, I look for.
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
Now, Nicholson 1968 brought this up in a live stream that I did when he used to make videos on YouTube, but apparently he stopped completely for whatever reason. At any rate, listen to what George W. Bush says about 322. Listen very, very closely.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee.
Did you just hear what he said? The number 322. And then listen to what George W. Bush says. Tim Russett says the number 322, and then listen very carefully to what George W. Bush says about the number 322. About the number.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee.
First of all, he's not the nominee. He's referring to the number 322. Tim Russett is, and George W. Bush says it doesn't matter because the number 322, he is not the nominee. So the number 322, according to Skull and Bones, is a person or an entity, as George W. Bush says right here. Nobody ever caught this. Nicholson pointed this out, and I find it incredibly interesting.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee.
He's not the nominee, but his signature is everywhere, including on the time capsule at the Georgia Guidestones. Okay? According to the mainstream, the Georgia Guidestones was bombed. It's a crime scene, and yet they pulled it down the exact same day. Even if it wasn't a crime scene, it takes longer than that to pull it down because the debris wasn't in the way of anything whatsoever at all, because Elberton, Georgia, Guidestones are near nothing. The only thing that's near the Georgia Guidestones are 2 telephone poles with cameras running at all times. At all times. So for them to have to rip it down because it was a public safety issue or anything to that effect is absolutely ludicrous. The entire site is surrounded by holly, as you would find in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Surrounded by holly, and this is the time capsule right here, this big placard on the ground. So for whatever reason, these guys decided that this was just them telling us their plans in plain sight. They have to tell us their plans. The Georgia Guidestones sat there for years telling us their plan, and now the plan is in effect. These don't need to be here anymore. And did Ted Turner say we have to build it back better? I'm sure they did. But America is not going to be anything anymore, which is why when you go any place in America, you discover that the forests are dead. The wildlife is dead. The oceans are dead. The rivers, the streams, everything in the United States, for the most part, you can't drink out of a stream anymore. You can't find wildlife anymore. You can't really grow a garden anymore because it's either Mormon crickets are coming to eat it all, or there's no bees to pollinate anything. They've completely and utterly decimated this once beautiful land while everybody stood by getting high, using technology, or trying to be politically correct. Meanwhile, they disassemble the country all around us. Now, over here at change.org, they have a petition going to open the Georgia Guidestones capsule now. This is simply an exercise in absolute futility because these people aren't going to let me. Come on, man. Come on. Go lock in your house because of a disease. Everybody did it. They're not going to listen to this. Come on, man. Seriously. They know that they have the country over a barrel right now because they did the COVID scam and it worked. It worked perfectly to the point where they don't even talk about COVID now. Just everything is climate change and how you can't have food anymore because food is somehow killing the earth. That is the long story short of it all. And it's going to continue to escalate each and every day. Every day from now on. They're not going to stop. It's full blast forward. It's happening. And for those of you that are just catching up and have no idea what the GUIDESTONES are, well, it's an amazing thing to me that for something no one knew about whatsoever at all, the mainstream is just covering it over and over and over and over again. These things were absolutely massive. Massive. They had 10 guidelines inscribed on them in 8 languages, all the way back to Sanskrit. You see what I'm saying? Sanskrit. They were aligned with the stars in the earth. They stood at the highest point in Alberton. They were purchased for $5,000. And on top, the capstone, as they call it, which was a flat piece of granite on the top, had a drainage groove all the way in it, in a hole for doing rituals or whatever. Did they ever do them? We'll never know. It was a sundial and a clock. It was made of the world's finest granite. Robert C. Christian, the man who commissioned the GUIDESTONES in '79, probably not his real name because underneath it said R.C. Christian. It said a pseudonym. The capstone weighed 25,000 pounds. These things were 16 feet tall and weighed over 20 tons each. That's them. Lots of people. Yoko Ono, who cares? Ted Turner could be involved. The land on the GUIDESTONES is owned by the county. In 2014, there was a bout of vandalism. Cameras were never powered, though, which is complete and utter bullshit. There's a message from the movies. In 2015, a documentary was released called that explains the connection to the Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, and the United Nations. While most believe these are instructions on what to do after, some are fearful that it's the first rule of genocide because it said keep humanity under 500 million. And on a world with allegedly 7 billion people, that means 9 out of 10 gotta go. And these were the inscriptions. This was not done by anybody other than the people that put it here. If you think anything other than that, you're smoking hopium, not exactly sure what to tell you, seriously, okay? I find it incredibly strange the day after CERN fires up, encourages everybody to watch, and then simply shows footage from April of 2022 and calls it live, because that's what happened.